So, I'm getting ready to Prestige again, and I'll have a video out tomorrow. Either tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. On, a quick guide on Prestiging. But I finally managed to get back up to level 55. So, I want to talk about the basic trainings. There are a lot of basic trainings. There are 28 in total. And it can be very difficult to understand what basic trainings to use and what general setups you should. So we're going to be covering all the basic trainings. We're going to start from the top and we're going to work our way down. And it's important to note that the first basic training you will unlock is Instincts. So everything from Catalyst up here is automatically unlocked. So almost this entire page right here, first part of the page, these first 9, you'll have access to automatically. And then these bottom 6 right here, or bottom 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, these are all unlocked by prestiging for the first time your division. So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to talk about what each of these do, how good they are, and what the general build that they are. Now, it's important to note that your division that you're playing plays a large bearing. All of these, for example, you'll see a few of these pop up, such as move faster while aiming, less idle sway while ADS, reload while sprinting and diving, fire guns while sprinting, this one right here, double lethal tactical, etc. So you'll see that there are a lot of these are actually bonuses from other divisions. That'll play a pretty large part in what we're going to talk about here. So, starting off, the first ones we get, you'll have access to all of these. How good are these? So this is Espionage. I often call Espionage something completely different. I think this should be renamed to something different. What this does is it, bullet damage paints enemies on the minimap for your team. Basically, if you shoot somebody but don't kill them, then on other allies' minimaps, this will appear. This is not very good. You should not run this. This is one of the... There are a lot of pretty shitty ones that I would not recommend that you run. This is going to fall into that category. As a bonus, you will reveal enemy score streaks on the minimap. That's the main reason that you would run this. I do not think that it's worth a basic trading slot, especially when you only get to bring one. There are 27 other choices, and at least 50% of them are 100 times better than running for just that small advantage. So, the next one that we have is Launched. This is one that is exclusive to the Bazooka and the Panzerschreck. If you are running either the Bazooka or the Panzerschreck as your secondary weapon, you should be running Launched. If you don't want to run a pistol or the crossbow, or if you're not running Rifleman for a secondary, which we'll get to in a minute. This makes it so that explosive launchers deal more damage. What this does is the launchers already deal an insane amount of damage, but the blast radius around the initial explosion is relatively small to confirm a kill. What this does is it basically expands the kill radius, the instant, I should say, kill radius of the launcher to being slightly larger. It doesn't actually expand the blast radius of the launcher, it just makes it so that if you're in the blast radius, there's a better chance you get killed. It causes you to spawn with 1 extra ammo, and you can resupply from enemies that are killed without explosive. This basically means that this is the primary thing if you are running a bazooka. If you're running the bazooka or the Panzer, you should definitely run Launch. It really comes down to a personal preference if you want to do that. As you can... If you look at my bazooka and my Panzer are both, level 3. I don't have too many kills with them, but they're fairly good explosives tools. If you want to run them, bring Launch. It's going to be one of these situational ones. It's not like a must-have, it's more of a situational. Requisitions, this is a very good... If you notice, I don't play a lot of, like, TDM and Kill Confirmed. I play mostly, like, War. If I play something outside of War, it's mostly going to be, Kill Confirmed. So, it's very rare you're going to see me running a score streak based one. This is an interesting score streak in Requisitions. I would call this like a training wheels type basic training. So the way this works is that your score streaks do not reset on death. You'll just keep adding up and up and up. but they can only be used once, and they cost more. So it increases the cost significantly. Like, a great example of this is the paratroopers would normally cost $1,200. I think it's $1,250. They cost about $1,700. It has about $500. And you only earn one score streak. So once you use that one score streak, it's gone for the entire game. So it's one of those things that if you're new to score streaks and you're trying to get more comfortable with them, this is the way to go. I don't necessarily think that this is a good score streak one. I think this is on the weaker end score streak wise, but you can definitely run this. If you're somebody that doesn't get score streaks often and you want to use them, this is definitely the basic training for you. Obviously this doesn't apply in war, and it's not particularly great even in the other game modes unless you're like Gustav's Cannon and you cannot get that sniper position. Saboteur. This is arguably the best of all of the basic trainings in the beginning. If you have no other basic trainings, you should be running Saboteur. This lets you take 2 pieces of lethal equipment and shortens the fuse of explosives. This is mostly for the frag grenades and the claymores. It doesn't work on satchels and stickies, which are set, and throwing knives don't have that. So this works with any 2 pieces of lethal equipment, and it just gives you an extra piece of lethal equipment. It is absolutely fantastic, especially as a beginner. It serves 2 purposes. It gives you a second grenade, basically, and it gives you a much shorter fuse, so the enemy cannot throw your grenade back if you cook it the right way. One of the things I will say with Saboteur, this is a personal thing, Saboteur is one of the best ones you can run in Commando, because with Commando, you have the paratrooper insert, and you can't bring 2 of those. You can only bring 1. So Saboteur makes it so that you automatically get that second frag grenade or that second mine, whatever you want to run. It gives it to you right off the bat. So if you are planning on running multiple explosives on your Commando build, I would highly recommend you run Saboteur instead of Concussed, which we will talk about later. But this is absolutely probably the best of the basic trainings in the beginning. Even if you're not like me, like a war player, even if you are on TDM and kill confirmed, the extra lethal equipment means you can just kind of like randomly chuck grenades when you spawn and hope you can get a kill or a general idea. Clandestine is actually a resistance ability. It makes it so that slain enemies will drop intel packs. Basically, when you kill an enemy, you'll get a little pack that it's basically a little blip on your minimap that reveals if anybody is nearby for 1 minimap rotation. It's not particularly great. The main benefit of this is that you are playing Resistance. The bonus intel ping at the start of each life is good for things like TDM or kill confirm, where you are rapidly changing your respawn location. I would not recommend this. I think this is better for giving if you're like trying to find people who are camping so you don't run into ambushes. But then again, the Resistance class offers this to begin with. I would highly recommend that you run the Resistance class instead of running this basic training. The Blitzkrieg. This is a very strong ordnance-based one. If you are planning on running a score streaks, I highly recommend either Blitzkrieg or Ordnance. Blitzkrieg specifically changes it to score streaks earned by kills instead of score. This means that if you're someone who is able to very rapidly get kills, you are going to benefit more from this than just normal score streak based abilities. Now, the difference between score and kill really depends on what classes you're playing as well. If you're playing cavalry class in a TDM, and you're going to get more value out of your crowd control assists and your shield charge than you would from actually getting kills, then the score is the better way to go. If you're playing airborne and you're just running around with an SMG, just mowing people down at close range, Blitzkrieg is probably going to be a better option for you. It also lets you have access to a 4th score streak, and that's the main reason, in my opinion, that you should be running this, to give you a 4th score streak. Having that 4th option, you know, normally how I have my score streak set up, if I show that real quick, I usually have 3 very cheap things. I actually have the 2 cheapest, which are the Molotov and the Recon. The Guide Bomb is kind of like my big bada boom. And then I'll usually save up when I'm running Blitzkrieg for the Ball Turret Gunner. Sometimes I'll put on Paratrooper. Sometimes I'll put on the Flamethrower, but very rarely. Mostly just so that I am able to have something a bit more high valuable, kind of as a way to reward myself if, you know, hey, I made it, I actually got to a 4th score streak, which is very rare for me. But if you're somebody who's consistently getting score streaks earned, like you constantly get all your score streaks in one go around, you might want to put Blitzkrieg on so you have more options open to you as well. In my opinion, if you're the type of player that's able to rapidly earn a lot of score streaks, though, you don't necessarily rely on the score streaks to win games for you. Escalation. This is actually one of the worst in the game, except for the bonus, which kind of saves it. So, the first part of it is that shortly after kills, your ADS time is significantly faster. This is basically the quick draw add-on for most of the guns given to you in a basic training. The first caveat is that it only applies after kills. And it's for 3 seconds after a kill, you get an ADS time. Now, generally, you're going to be in ADS still for those 3 seconds, unless you have to reload. And the main thing is, multi-kills will instantly refill your magazine, so you do not have to reload. This is much more valuable on lower capacity magazines that require a lot of reloading. There are very few guns that will benefit. Now, one-shots like the Blunderbuss and the Launcher, if you get a multi-kill with that, it's not going to apply. You still have to automatically reload. And a larger magazine, for example, an LMG, which has a lengthy reload, that can be actually very valuable reloading. The main thing is that if you're running this ability, you're going to be running it for the multi-kill bonus, and I just don't think that this is a strong enough ability. If you run this, it's because you're planning on rapidly getting, 2-3 kills. Stop. 2-3 kills, 2-3 kills, 2-3 kills. You're not really going to be stretching this, like just holding down the trigger and mowing down absolutely everything in front of you. And eventually, if you do die, or you stop getting those multi-kills and you have to reload, it may train you to being a little bit unaccustomed to having to deal with, the lower magazine capability. I think it's a solid mid-tier option, but I still think that outside of Saboteur, and then if you want to run a basic training one, I would say Blitzkrieg. Those are probably your 2 best. If you're running launchers, again, that's a situational one like Blitzkrieg. Those are 2 pretty good situational ones. I think it kind of fits in there. Wanderlust is really interesting. So Wanderlust makes it so that every time you spawn or switch weapons with the triangle button, you get a new weapon. And you have no control over what weapon you get. It will always give you a new weapon. It is a very fun build to run. Is it serious? No. I've run this a few times. I've got everything from a PTRS Iron Sight, which is an Iron Sight sniper that functions almost like a shotgun. It's a one-shot any part of the body, to then switching and getting a MG15 with extended mag, full metal jacket, and quick draw. And then switching and getting a Claymore. And then a shovel. And then a pistol with akimbo pistols. Akimbo P08 pistols. So this build is very fun to use. I wouldn't recommend it with any sort of seriousness. If you're running this, it's kind of a, you know what, we've got this game in the back. I'm just going to bring this out and say fuck it and we'll just win. If you want to have a good time playing this game and just get comfortable with a large amount of guns, run this. This is a fun thing to run. Other than that, you're going to be relying on your grenade an awful lot. So just let that be a warning to you. The last of the basic ones that you get is Catalyst. This is an activatable ability. It gives you, it lets you stab yourself with a vaccine that gives you a serum that improves weapon handling while active. Basically, for 5 seconds, you will have less recoil, faster ADS time, less sway while moving, less sway in ADS, faster movement speed in ADS, faster reload. It's an all-around improve you. It does not improve your damage at all, unless you count the recoil reduction. Basically, it just gives you a bunch of ADS, movement, and recoil-related stat conditions. and it replenishes over time, and you have to inject yourself again with it for another limited time. I think it's like got a 30-second cooldown, and you get it for like 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. I do not recommend this at all. I think Escalation is better. Escalation has so much more value than Catalyst, where Catalyst gives you a bit of everything in weapon handling. It has an activation cost and a cooldown to it, basically. Whereas Escalation, you know, every time you get a kill, you know, your ADS is faster. So you can kind of like chain ADS kills together pretty good. And then the multi-kill benefit is so much stronger. This has no real benefit other than just like, if you want to pretend you're a super soldier or something like that. So now we're going to be scrolling through individually the ones that you'll have to unlock with your level up tokens. First one is Instinct. You can unlock this right away with your first token, I believe. What this does is this gives you a warning when you are being targeted off screen and lets you detect explosives. The main value to this is pretty much just exclusively for mines, or if you're being aimed at by like a sniper. But the reaction time, you have to have a pretty big reaction time to know when this is good. The main benefit is to give you the armored class. Excuse me. The armored class has immunity to shell shock and tactical equipment, and this grants the same bonus. If you are annoyed by gas grenades, concussion grenades, or thermal flares, this is what you want to run. Now, the Armored Division is a pretty all-around. It works for pretty much almost all the guns in the game. So I don't necessarily... I would say, you know, hey, run Armored. But to be fair, where this does let you... give you a split-second indicator to let you know you're about to get sniped, and to detect, like, claymores and satchel charges, this is a valuable... it's a pretty decent mid-tier ability, or a mid-tier basic training. It's something I think you should work around, but it's nice to have until you get more comfortable with how to counter and deal with different tactical equipment and where explosives are generally going to be planted. One of the best basic trainings in the game is Rifleman. This lets you take 2 primary weapons and swap your weapons faster. The weapon swap faster is not a real benefit. It's a carryover from the infantry division. The main thing with Rifleman is by letting you take 2 primary weapons, instead of being stuck with a pistol or an explosive or a melee as your secondary weapon, you can actually bring a submachine gun, a rifle, a sniper, an LMG, whatever the case may be. So let's talk about the main benefit. How you stack your weapons is critical. So, for your primary weapon, if you're running something like... I don't know. If you're running... a sniper rifle, and you want a more close-range option besides a pew-pew-pew pistol, then this lets you bring, like, a shotgun or an SMG. I would recommend an SMG, so that you have some mid-range options. Again, if you're running an LMG, and you need, with the lengthy reload time, and you want something faster, you can bring a rifle or an SMG and be covered, so if you get jumped mid-reload, or if you're being shot at mid-reload, you can just switch weapons and try and kill them, and then go back to your regular reload. If you're running something like an SMG or a shotgun, and you want a longer range alternative, bring a rifle, a sniper, an LMG, very helpful. For rifles, I wouldn't really, it depends on what you want to bring. If you want to bring 2 of a certain type of weapon, like you want to bring 2 shotguns, or if you want to bring 2 SMGs and just kind of like keep switching between the 2 weapons and reload when it's slow, this is arguably one of the best basic trainings in the game. The only knock that I have against this basic training is that you do not get to bring attachments on the secondary weapon you pick. So if it's a gun that relies on its attachments, that becomes a problem. So if you look at some of the guns that rely on their attachments, like the combat shotgun relies on attachments, the Carabine definitely does. There's not a lot of snipers that really do rely on them, but just in case, The Bren definitely relies on attachments. I would say the Lewis does as well. For submachine guns, the Grease gun, the WAF, rifles, you know, things like the 1941 here and the FG42. Those are all weapons that heavily rely on their attachments. You do not want to bring that as a secondary weapon. You want that to be your primary, and what you actually want to use as your primary, you bring as the secondary. So, if, for example, if you're running the Garand and a combat shotgun for close range, put the combat shotgun as your primary and the Garand as your backup, because that's better without attachments than the combat shotgun is. Other than that, Rifleman is incredibly strong. The next one that I highly recommend is Hustle. This lets you reload while sprinting and reload faster. Now, this shares some benefits from the Airborne, where Airborne lets you reload while sprinting. So you can just go from encounter to encounter and reload on the fly. This is a great way to save time. The real benefit to this is the reload faster. So guns that require reloading after a single shot, like the blunderbuss, the crossbow, the launchers, this will help you. Same thing, guns that have long reloads. So sniper rifles that are one bullet at a time, like the lever action and the M36. In addition to that, LMGs, especially with extended mag, where it takes longer to reload them. Hustle is very much advised. For things that reload relatively quickly, SMGs, pistols, most of the rifles, I wouldn't recommend this unless you are really running and gunning. If you're running an infantry 4 attachment bar and you want to just move from encounter to encounter, Hustle is very good for cutting down on your downtime for having to stop, reload, then keep going and fighting, stop, reload. This is something that I do recommend. I think it's up there pretty much with Launch, where it's a weapon by weapon or a class by class. So it depends on what weapon you're running. I couldn't recommend this as like a generic type one, like with Rifleman or Saboteur, but this is very strong. Lookout is horrible. This is basically a resistance class bonus that you get again. Again, you're much better off running the resistance class than this. Enemy targets appear from further away. That would be the little indicator above their head that has their PSN name and their clan tag, letting you in red, letting them know, hey, it's an enemy, shoot it. And it also increases your minimap coverage, which is the main benefit of this. This is not particularly great of a basic training to run. The only time you're going to get much value out of this is if you're running a 4x scope or a sharpshooter scope. And if you're running either of those, generally you're far enough away to know that, oh, that guy is running at me. He probably wants to kill me. Not running at me because he has a cookie for me. Gunslinger is an interesting one. It is an airborne one, which, this is an airborne bonus. This lets you fire guns while sprinting and diving. I don't recommend this. However, if you're not running the airborne division, this is very helpful for a few types of guns. Mostly shotguns. I would say shotguns and SMGs, although the reticle bloom on an SMG, I don't know about. But this is very helpful for if you're trying to move from cover to cover or from area to area and you just want to fire your gun while you're running without losing really momentum and speed. This is good in rundown, like rundown and chase type situations where you're trying to stop and kill somebody before they can run to the trap that they've set up. This is kind of helpful for that. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this. I personally would not run this. I do not think this is very good. I think you should focus on ADS and accuracy, but then again, I'm in the minority on that. So, we're not really going to cover this too much. I wouldn't recommend. Next one is Ordnance. I think that this is personally the best of the score streak abilities for all the different types of score streak basic trainings. Blitzkrieg can be a close second. I find this better. Basically, it makes all of your score streaks cheaper. And it doesn't make them cheaper by a lot. For example, the Molotov cocktail is $250 as opposed to $300. But the recon airplane is $425 as opposed to $500. It doesn't knock too much off, but every little bit helps. And it lets you get your score streaks that much faster. It also when you kill an enemy, they will drop the score streak packs that will fill up your score streaks that much faster when you run over them. So, I think if you are someone that is playing around score streaks a lot, you know, if you're playing Shipment 24/7, and you just wanna, you know, you just wanna get score streaks up because you die so quickly, you know, like a double kill, you're just short of getting a Molotov and then you die, that sort of thing, Ordnance is a very good thing for you to run. I don't think that it's, like, the best to run, but if you want to run something around score streaks, Ordnance 100%. Pick 3 score streaks, go in, get some scores, get some kills, and you're good to go. This is the best to run for the score streaks. Undercover. I call this espionage. Okay? This is a mountain class bonus, and it's the only good thing that the mountain class has to offer. So, I don't like the mountain class. I don't run the mountain class. Undercover is where it's at, baby. I think that you should run this if you are playing sniper. I personally, if you look at my sniper setup, I actually run the armored division with undercover as my basic training. That is my go-to sniper. Now, the reason why I mention that is because this is the best thing that the mountain class has to offer. There is no name or reticule color change when enemies aim at you, which means when an enemy is usually it comes to play with snipers. When a sniper is aiming at you, that little thing doesn't turn color over your head. So they're not gonna, if you're not moving, they're not gonna know you're there. That's a prone sniper running this is incredibly strong. It also killed enemy death locations hidden. It also makes it so that enemies that you kill, they don't appear on the minimap to the team, to their own team. So this is a very sneaky way. This is a decent flanking perk as well. If you want to, like, try and run with an SMG and, like, run with the enemy team and then turn around and shoot them all in the back, this is very effective for that. Good players will see through this fairly quickly. At longer ranges where the reticule color change and the name indicator are kind of 50-50 if they pop up or not, this is incredibly strong though. So if you plan on playing at long range combat or you just don't want to get sniped a lot, I would run undercover, and you know, you just gotta have some patience with it, and you'll know it's working, but you won't know it's working at the same time. Serrated is kind of a fun thing. I do run this on the cavalry division. I'll explain why. Serrated lets you take a melee weapon as your primary weapon, and it lets you melee faster. It gives you 2 throwing knives and 2 tacticals. You are guaranteed to get 2 throwing knives. So if you do like playing around throwing knives, this is the thing to go. If you like throwing knives and you don't like explosives, instead of running Saboteur, I 100% recommend Serrated. The main thing for me when it comes to Serrated is I actually have a build for it. It is on the Cavalry Division. The reason is the Cavalry Division has this big hunk of shield that I just love, and that counts as a melee weapon. So you don't actually have to bring a melee weapon with you, and you get the bonus of being able to pick whatever gun you want to go alongside your big shield, as opposed to having to run a shitty pistol or a crossbow or a launcher. Mostly it comes down to if you like the throwing knives. If you like throwing knives, then go ahead and run Serrated on Cavalry. If you don't like throwing knives, I can't recommend this like at all. The main benefit to running Serrated is for the extra throwing knives and for the second tactical. If you want to run a melee weapon as your primary, you don't really need a perk for that. Just bring a melee as your secondary and use that. The melee faster is kind of nice. It really only comes into play, though, if you're in a melee fight with somebody. Other than that, I mean, it's good for throwing knives. Duelist is an interesting one. I don't recommend this, but it's a nice idea. So what Duelist does is it lets you take akimbo pistols as secondary. So normally the akimbo attachment for pistols is a relatively hard to unlock attachment, if at all. I don't even think, can you even unlock it? Hold on. Hold on. Oh no, you can't, that's right. So this is the only way you're going to be able to get the akimbo There's an attachment in zombies, so. This lets you bring akimbo pistols, so you can run ahead with 2 pistols. The L2 will control the left one, and the R2 will control the right one. And it gives you extra pistol ammunition. The real downside to this is it doesn't allow you to use the attachments with the akimbo pistols. In addition to this, depending on the type of pistol you're using, it can be very difficult to confirm kills. For example, if you're using dual machine pistols and you're holding down both triggers and just aiming, it's going to be very difficult for you to control the recoil and get kills. It's going to be like close range bullet hose, but that's about it. The 1911, the 9mm SAP, and the P08, which are your basic shitty pistols, they do not do enough damage. Even going 2 pistols, you're going to be lucky if you get a kill or 2. The revolvers do some significant damage, but the reload time on them is insane, and you reload both guns at once when you reload. You don't reload one and fire the other one, you reload both. So, this is another fun, gimmicky one to run, similar to Serrated. How much I would recommend it is up to you. The second to last one that you have to unlock is Forage. I highly recommend this. I think this is really strong. You resupply bullets over time, and from running over enemy dead bodies. It applies to the weapon that you're using as well. So, for example, if you are using the bar, and you are running over enemies that are... that if an enemy was using a rifle as their primary, you'll reload off of running over their body. If you were using an SMG, you won't reload off of their body. The main benefit is for the overtime. If you find yourself constantly running out of ammo on guns, and like, okay, you just unload, have to pick up another gun, Forage is incredibly good. The extra magazines helps from keeping you reload. This is basically what you want to run if you plan on just not ever picking up another gun. If you want to use just one gun, run Forage, you're good to go. The last one that you have to unlock of the basic trainings is Flanker. There is a delayed detonation to enemy mines. This is helpful, but most of the time you're going to run over the mine. So while it keeps you safe from the mine, the problem with it is the mine still goes off. It doesn't, like, null it. I think this would be better if it, like, made it where you didn't trigger mines. Like, the first time you ran over a mine, you didn't trigger it. Other than that, it's pretty shitty, other than that benefit. So while sprinting, you are hidden from enemy recon aircraft. First off, there is an enemy score streak that you can run to eliminate that in the first place. Second off, this is literally a basic training designed to counter one singular score streak in the entire game. Do not run this. Not good. The last score streaks that we're going to cover, the last 8, are all unlocked by leveling up and prestiging the divisions. So they'll be going in order of the division. So the first one is from the infantry division. This is scoped. By the way, almost all of these give you some benefit that applies to that division. So scoped, while aiming down sights, there is less idle sway and you move faster. This is surprisingly good on snipers. Other than that, I don't necessarily recommend this. Unless you are somebody that, like, if you like to ADS while walking and hold down the trigger, I mean, that can give you some value. I don't necessarily recommend this. It's a nice bonus. It's certainly better than Catalyst. Gives you about the same benefit. But this is a pretty good one. If you're new to snipers and you tend to move around and peek a lot with snipers and have problems managing the sway, Scope can kind of help you with that as well. Ballistics calibration with Scope makes it so there's like no sway on the sniper. But I think that's something you should learn to control a bit more rather than running a basic training, but to each their own. Energetic is interesting. So it gives you increased sprint speed and no damage from falling. This is an airborne one. You get this from prestiging airborne. I don't like this, except you can run energetic on cavalry, and it will apply to your shield charge. So if you're somebody like me who likes to run around and shield bash people, energetic is very good for that. Other than that, there's no real tangible benefit to it unless you just want to have faster sprint speed. I guess it's worth it. The next one is from Armored. This is the Hunker one. So this has 2 benefits. This is, in my opinion, strongest basic training, or the second strongest basic training in the game. So what it does is it gives you an early grenade warning. So basically when the grenade comes in, you know how it's like white and then it goes red when it's near you? Well, it goes white before it actually comes within range of you. And when you go to do the throwback on the throwback grenade, instead of it blowing up in your hand, which is what normally happens because most people run Saboteur, instead you reset the fuse and throw it right back at them. This is incredibly strong if you are somebody who likes to just sit in one spot and sort of eat grenades. Hunker is very good. Now, this also has the added benefit of extending your own grenade lifespan. If you use fragmentation grenades a lot, this will you can use Hunker as a way to have extra grenades, because you can just pick up enemy grenades and throw them back at them, because it resets the timer completely. So it's as if it was your own grenade. You also take less explosive damage. It does not apply to launchers, which is something very important to note. A lot of people think that it applies to launchers. It does not. It only applies to lethal explosives. So, claymores, satchels, stickies, and frags. And even then, satchels and stickies are generally one-hits, no matter what. So this is mostly just for frag grenades. You can call this the frag grenade perk if you want. But the grenade throwback reset, incredibly powerful, 10 out of 10. Inconspicuous. This is pretty shitty. You get this from the Mountain Division when you prestige. It gives you quieter movement. Now, the problem is, the Mountain Division has silent movement. This gives you quieter movement, not silent. So it's pretty inferior. And it lets you walk fast while crouched. So, if you're a crouch walker, if you want some urban evasion in your life, run Inconspicuous. Next up, we have Concussed. This is from the Expeditionary class. This is very straightforward. You get 2 lethals, and you get 2 tacticals. So you get 2 frag grenades, you get 2 gas grenades. So you get 2 sticky grenades, and you get 2 signal flares. So you get 2 mines, and you get 2 concussion grenades. You can't bring 2 smoke grenades. Basically, if you like throwing lots of fucking grenades, Concussed is the one for you. This is right up there with Hunker for top of the list, in my opinion. I like grenades, if you can't tell. I love grenades. Grenades are my friend. I'm also in the minority here. But... Yay, grenades! Shifty is the next one. Now you get this off the Resistance class. This is very good. If you want to run a pistol, particularly if you're running a sniper, you don't need any other basic trainings for your sniper, but you want to bring something to cover your secondary. Well, have I got the thing for you? Shifty. So instead of running Rifleman, you can run Shifty. Pistols get unlimited ammo. They are always full when you switch to them, and they get 2 additional attachments. Now, what this means is, depending on what build you're running, for example, if you're running a regular pistol, which only has 1 attachment, this will give it 3 attachments. That's extended mag, full metal jacket, high caliber. You know, that's great. Or, if you're running infantry, that'll give you 4 attachments for your weapon. Yeah! And it's always full when you switch to it. It's a pretty devious thing to run, if I'm being honest. It's very devious to just switch to a pistol, switch. This is something you run if you plan on, like, if you get jumped at close range with a long-range weapon, you just switch to a pistol, unload in their face, switch back to the weapon, and then switch back to the pistol, just to kill them again. Because it automatically reloads when you switch. This is something you run so that you always have a backup weapon. This is the backup weapon. This is the underwear gun, okay? The last 2 are not particularly impressive. This is from the Cavalry Division. This is the last score streak training. So instead of earning score streaks, you get basic trainings at 200, 400, and 600 score. And then all basic trainings are granted to you at 800, and progress resets on death. What this means is that you will get a different basic training chosen at random at 200, 400, and 600. And then all of the basic trainings that don't, like, stack with each other will be granted to you at 800, but once you die, you have to redo everything again. If you played the zombies in this mode and you understand how the blitzes work over in zombies, where you have to buy the blitz and you get to keep it until you die, and if you respawn the next wave, you have to rebuy all of those blitzes. That's very similar to how this works, but it's not as strong as what the blitzes are over there. This is very good for, like, if you can build yourself, I am the unstoppable multiplayer Terminator, you will never kill me, then this is what you should run instead of score streaks. I don't see much value to it, though, because once you die, you just lose the value of it entirely. The last one you get is Remedy. This is off the Commando, and it means that health regenerates quicker. Now, let's clarify this. What this means is that your health doesn't begin regenerating quicker. It means that your health, when you start to regen health, it regens quick. Like, it's immediate. Like, once you get health regen active, which is 5 seconds out of combat, not taking damage, boom! It's immediate. This is good in a sniper duel. This is the best I've come up with is like a sniper duel. So if you like get hit and you're like right there, or you could die by absolutely anything damages you, you're gonna die. But you're able to get the kill and you duck behind cover for a couple seconds. This lets you regen your health that much faster, so that when that health regen does kick in, like if you're aiming at somebody else, if your health regen kicks in so instantaneous that when it does, if you take a shot, just as your health came back, you'll survive it and be in the same situation again. Other than that, there's no real recommendation, because most enemies just tend to hold down the trigger. Anyways, this is the list of what everything does. So for my recommendations, early on, like, because I don't recommend that you use your basic trainings on prestige, or your prestige tokens on basic trainings. If you do use a prestige token on basic training, I would recommend you use it on Forage. Forage is the highest level one that is worth a damn. Duelist and Serrated are kind of fun, but they're not really serious. Undercover is nice to have, but I don't think it's worth a prestige token. Hustle and Rifleman unlock fairly early. They both unlock right around, I know Rifleman's level 13, I believe Hustle is 16, it's either 16 or 18. Those are early enough where you can pretty much get by with, you know, a slightly slower reload speed, or just get better with your sidearms. I don't really think, if you're going to run a prestige token for one of them, put it on Rifleman, if I'm being honest. Your basic categories, like when you just start the game, Saboteur is the way to go. Blitzkrieg if you like score streaks a lot, and Launched only if you're running a launcher. Once you have access to these 8 basic trainings, these should be your go-to beginners once you prestige your classes as well, because you don't have to re-unlock any of these. So Shifty can sort of replace Rifleman. Specialist can sort of replace Blitzkrieg, and Ordnance. Concussed can replace Saboteur, except for the Commando class. Hunker, this is again another good all-around substitute. Energetic and Scoped are kind of like fillers that you can put in on certain types of builds. Some of these I don't recommend. Like the ones I would not recommend at all, I wouldn't recommend Espionage. I wouldn't recommend Clandestine. I won't recommend Catalyst. I won't recommend Lookout. I won't recommend Gunslinger. I won't recommend Flanker. I would absolutely not recommend those. Anyways, I hope that has been helpful. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for boring you. Bye-bye.